Let's start the day off right. I will make you aware and let you know you can even check your live grades. I have sent a message to all of your guardians.
Oh, it's about to be...
It is this big, huge, long, drawn-out message that explains to them
We about to fail.
in layman terms, just to give it to you, the synopsis of it. Hey, chemistry's been fun.
But
Now, it's going to be fun and hard.
no, Miss Cole was just say fun.
It'd be
It's
more
gonna be
fun,
real
yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
So it's about to get real. In this, I have stressed to them that what they can do to help you is, first thing they can do is for you to bring your notes home to them. They ask you questions and you actually teach them what you're learning. Within that, they get to actually see if you know what you're talking about. You get to teach it to them, which helps you memorize and learn it. And I stress to them about me giving those tutoring sessions during lunch, which I absolutely say take full advantage. Now, don't take full advantage of it when we've done nomenclature for 2 weeks and it's Friday. Well, that'd be towards 5th period. I'm going to say this anyway. And it's Friday, and you come in 30 minutes before and say, teach me everything we learned in the last 2 weeks about nomenclature. There's no possible way you're going to learn everything in 30 minutes that we're going to learn within 2 weeks in this class.
What do we do in first period?
Notes. That's it. Yes.
I have a question.
Oh, that's great. I won't take you.
Oh my god.
So, question.
Do you do the rule, like if we have it here so many days, we have to take out following every time, whatever it is?
I have to follow that rule based off the office.
Yeah, I know midterm.
There's a final. There's a final.
Yes, so on Thursday, January 23rd, the midterm that will be offered, if you have not missed 3 days. You know what I'm saying?
I thought you said that the last test is counting as a final.
Listen.
The midterm, given, based off rules from the county office on January 23rd, is periods 2, 5, and 8. You're in 2nd period. So the midterm that I will be giving on that day
Does everybody got
Lord Jesus Christ above, guys.
There is not one.
The one that is being
we'll have to take it.
on 23rd.
Sorry, me and Mr. Hall don't share this secret bond or whatever y'all have for each other, because like you guys read each other's minds so well. I'm sorry.
I'm glad that I know nomenclature already, Mr. Hall.
So I've told them also that take full advantage of those tutoring sessions and come ask me questions. I've also made them aware that in the 3 years of me teaching this subject at Westside High School, I've had only 2 students to pass it. Those 2 were from last year, and they passed them with D's, and that was it. So, this is hard. Do not get confused by this. Do not look at this at the very beginning and say, oh, this is easy. This is so simple, because it's like out of nowhere it looks super simplistic. But what we're doing is laying a foundation. And then what happens is a 2x4 comes out of nowhere right across the chip. So pay attention. Ask questions if you got them. And we're going to have a whole lot of fun along the way. So today we start.
I have one question.
Yeah.
Okay, so the final, is it just gonna be on this or is it gonna be like on everything? Oh my god.
Once you learn it, don't forget it. All is fair game.
This is an indoctrination process.
Because anytime I ask him, I'm like, hey, what do we do today?
No, fifth
And he
period.
just gives me that. And I'm like,
And
I'm
it's
still
like-
punching in my face if you don't.
What's that?
So I did the same thing to Christy in 5th period.
I'm standing there. Okay. Come up.
Well, here's the thing, I don't know what I'm confused about, I'm confused about what I'm confused about.
You don't know what you don't know.
Alright, so here's the first thing to get used to, okay? So within this, you have what we have are common names that you've been used to. Now within this is not something that I'm really going to push for to try and quiz you on,
Already
okay?
said it wrong.
Now some of these are completely obvious to you. Like for example, everybody should know what water is.
Dihydrogen monoxide.
It is dihydrogen monoxide, or H2O.
Oh, yeah.
The only reason he remembers that is because last year he was like, "Can you die from the hydrogen monoxide?"
And the answer is yes. The answer is yes, you can.
This one is a little bit more tricky. I don't expect everybody to know it. This is why I really don't like to quiz off these.
NH3.
Ammonia. NH3. This one you probably don't know. I've mentioned it before, and for those that are ever looking at working in the coal mine, you hear so much about this.
Methane, but I don't know what it is.
CH4, methane, not to be mistaken for
I was gonna say that.
methamphetamines.
Yeah, methamphetamines are used in mines too.
And then salt. I really don't like this one
NaCl.
because salt is kind of just like a generic formula kind of thing. There's different multiple variations of salt. But this one's talking like your common table salt, NaCl that you're used to. Everything's there for
Could
you.
you imagine eating the salt that they put on the roads? Like that special. We would be burning from the inside out.
We need a prayer.
I wonder if anybody's like genuinely like tried it. Like,
I bet everybody's like, I ran out of salt, let me go outside.
Alright,
Can't go to the
So in this- here's the important concept that you've got to get. This is literally the backbone, bread and butter. This is what your nomenclature is, y'all.
Yes, let's go to New Jersey real quick.
Alright? You're pretty much going from names that you will learn. They should become familiar to you. They're not really common names, but what we'll be looking at is names. And you'll also be looking at the formulas. Now, whenever we're talking about formulas, we're not talking about your math class. We're talking about something you've already learned before, these chemical formulas.
What's your name? Let me talk to you. Let me get your formula.
Now,
So in this, there's plenty of differences that you're going to see within it. So, I mean, there's all sorts of variations of these. From the extremely simplistic,
nitrogen.
it actually is nitrogen.
Because it's a diatomic.
And then you just go
Which is what brings up one of the good points. This should give you a heads up right out the gate. How long have we been working on nomenclature?
A long time, the whole time, actually.
How long have I started the nomenclature unit?
Today.
Since we were born.
What are you going to say, about 5 minutes? Here's trick number 1. Your diatomics. My voice has been cracking. I feel like I'm going through puberty.
That sounds like you are.
Okay, so your diatomics are literally named from the element. Okay, your diatomics They are the name of the element. That simple. I will use them to trick you. Fair warning. Then it becomes more complex. Like, let's do this.
Oh, boy. Oh,
I gave you a fair warning about this.
California?
No, calcium.
What is that? It's calcium.
Calcium dye.
No.
This looks familiar to you, but it's missing something because it's hidden.
How much like
Surcharge.
The calcium hides that charge.
Dicarbonate. No, something. Carbonate.
Carbonate.
I don't know what we're doing here.
Whoa.
Calcium carbonate.
Carboxyl.
Hey, I got it first time.
Can you say that again?
Calcium carbonate. Now from this, and you're going to learn the rules off naming these. We're just getting you familiar with it. I'm showing you how complex these things can get. These things can even become a lot more complex. Let's do,
Just put random letters and numbers on paper.
I'm trying to think of one that'd be good.
So we just have to like memorize all these?
You gotta know the rules. Don't memorize the names for all of these. Memorize rules. Oh, come on. Oh, that'll work.
Oh, Lord.
It's about as complex as it can get.
Oh, they're
What's the-
parentheses now. Oh.
No, sir.
Nitrogen
No, sir.
hydroxide carbenoxamide.
Ammonium carbonate. Ammonium carbonate.
Ammonium carbonate.
Wow.
Now in this, all of these, I mean, you can see, you can go from super simple, a little tricky, a little complex, super complex, and you can come all the way back to simple. This is where I stress to you, don't get caught up on trying to memorize the names of every one of these. You're going to learn a set of rules. That's what I'm going to teach you. You learn off the rules. Take the rules and use those. Within these, every one of these have a set of rules to naming. They're going to be based off certain identities and things that we're going to find involved with it. So, the first one, your first set of rules are for monatomics.
Hold on, Mr. Hall. Is that calcium fluoride? CaF2?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're so good at this, Colin.
No, I'm not.
It gets more complex when we mix them all together. Alright, so when you're dealing with monatomics, this is what you're going to be looking at. You're basing it off what type of ion it is.
Oh, no nucleus.
So monatomics are based off type of ion. So hopefully you remember your different types of ions that you got. So perfect example, first one we're going to talk about are your cation.
Can we take a second to talk about that exclamation? Nice.
Did you teach, like, are you teaching this class like you taught your AP?
I've never taught AP.
Have you ever been an AP chemistry?
No. If I would teach an AP chemistry, I would teach it like this, but it depends how it would be. If they would make you choose between regular chemistry or AP chemistry, then AP chemistry would have to be full gun-ho, just blazing through it. Because I'd have to start from the very beginning where I do with all you and roll through it super, super quick.
Like what?
Or, if they gave me the option of, like how it should be set up, you give a chemistry, and get you the basics information, which you'll learn in here, and then you get to take an AP chemistry the year after, then we could stay at this type of pace and cover everything, and then have us time at the end to go back and review before you guys go in to take AP chemistry exam, so hopefully you guys go in there and get some college credit.
Can someone please tell me why I pronounced vacations in my mind?
I do not know.
Because technically TIO is.
Yeah, it's not cations. It's cations.
All right, so cations or cations. Remember what they are. They are the positively charged ions. Remember where they come from. Okay, they are coming from columns.
Like they didn't see electron.
Number 1, 2, and 13. Now here's the cool thing. Like I told you, this is where, don't let this trick you up. This is where we're starting very simplistic, very basic. Literally, to name it, it's the name of the element. So an example. If I give you Li plus,
Positive lithium.
yeah, it's lithium.
With positive charge.
But it's lithium. You just name it straight up from the element. Okay, a perfect example is like right here in this one. If I give you that Ca2 plus, which this is just foreshadowing, is this showing the 2 plus here? No, because it's being hidden. The charge is being hidden by the fluoride. So Ca2 plus is calcium.
So with cations here, you're saying that you only name the element. You don't do the charge.
This is how it'll work. Maybe how it'll work is based off your naming or based off that chemical formula, it tells me whether there's a charge or not. In these cations, that's the one that's a little tricky. It seems at first it's because you're thinking, there's got to be something different. It can't just be lithium, because lithium doesn't have a charge, but lithium does have a charge also. But whenever it's grouped with something is when it'll change it. What's the second set of ions? Great job, so proud of y'all. Anions.
Anions.
Onions.
What columns do the anions come from?
4 through 7. 14 through 17. Right?
3, 12, 18.
Huh?
15, 16,
Yes,
17.
because the 14th and 15th are
14
different.
likes covalent bonds.
Yeah, and 15
Likes to share.
They don't like
Different set of rules to name.
Okay.
Now this is where life gets interesting.
We love interesting life.
Love interesting.
What you'll do
Oh, it's purple.
to name, you will remove the ending and you will add IDE. So just as an example of this, if I gave you let's just do this. I better not do that. Let's do this. What's that?
Fluorine.
Fluorine. Second trick. The elements have a different name
That's a
than the ions.
That's a diatomic.
There's no charge, so
Fluoride.
you're looking at an element. I think I spelled that right.
You did.
Doesn't fluoride like clean your teeth or something?
It does. Now,
Now that right there is
to appease your
fluoride.
diatomic, the F negative, F2 because it's a diatomic, F negative, remove the ending off of it. This is the part where I know you're going to be confused at first, but I got a feeling you're going to catch it. Where's the ending at in this? That INE. So you will literally write the beginning, your stop, remove that ending off, and you're going to add the IDE to it. So F negative, fluoride.
Any idea on when we can say our test?
Huh?
Any idea on when we can see our test?
When everybody takes it.
Ain't everybody doing it?
No.
They're having.
Someone.
People think I'm sorry.
I wasn't going to say it.
Well, I'm not mad. I'm just asking.
All right, so in this, a couple examples. So N3 negatives, nitrogen, take off the ending,
Nitrite.
nitrite. And it is capstone, capstone, capstone. It just ain't nothing worth bearing anything. All right, here's one I'm going to give it to you because you're going to have to get familiar with it. This one is going to be used a whole lot. I don't know why, but for some reason as chemistry teachers, we just grab for this one automatically.
Why?
O2 negative,
Oxford?
oxide.
Your voice tried to track on that one.
I said, not today.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
So would it be the last consonant?
What do you know?
In
It's not what that is.
typical rules, you'll look at the last syllable.
It's the
But
suffix.
it can be
Let's not
changed.
worry
I
about
promise you,
it.
you'll catch up to it. Like literally, like whenever you say oxygen, oxide, bromine,
I.
bromide, iodine.
Carbon dioxide.
You've heard these words before, which is where it helps you pick up. Okay.
Ashton.
All right. So, questions so far?
No, sir. You'll get them here in about 2 weeks.
So, how do you bond lead? What would you say lead is? It has no thingamajiggy. It'd be anti-light.
What are we talking about?
It's not.
Lead works a little differently. Lead is one of those, and
It
tin
doesn't-
is also to where they, where they're those metalloids, they'll act a little differently than like carbon and stuff will. So it'll actually form these charges like that. But then what you're going to find out later on is you can also name based off oxidation states.
Oh.
And lead's one of those that's really good for it. All right. So, since we're talking about monatomics, let's move into the freaky guys. Let's talk about them for a little bit.
We've already covered the diatomics. Right?
Okay.
So now we're doing the triatomic. Right? Guessing.
No.
No? Those were the
All right, so in this, so it's monatomics. Just keep moving with those. Let's talk about the D block dudes. All right, with these D block dudes, now these are the ones that's gonna freak y'all out.
D block dudes.
No, that's my thing. These guys, remember what we've said the whole time in this class. They're freaky. They do freaky things.
I feel
And
like
this
they
is what you'll
skateboard.
find out. Huh?
I feel like they skateboard.
Absolutely.
D-block dudes? Yes, sir, they do.
That looks like a skating ramp. Where the D block is, it looks like the dip. In
Yes,
skating
I see what you're talking about.
All right, so just for example, a couple of examples of this, and this little piece, your question that you had there, Connor. So a great example of this is iron.
Huh?
This is why I would piece you. You got lead.
Oh, I see what you're talking
And I know before anybody says anything, we do all that now in the D block. It's metalloid, it'll fall in and follow this pattern.
I don't know.
So we
about
join them in
skating
with
ramp.
this, okay?
Mr. Hall called me out on that one.
I did, it was funny. And then we got copper.
about. See you.
See me where?
With
It's like
tellurium.
You were so
It's like the whole iCup thing. Like,
Oh, yeah.
With
But you can't spell
tellurium.
ICUP. ICUP. Ooh, sicko.
You can't spell.
Nobody's really living until you tell somebody to spell aha.
Charge! Now this is where these things get freaky and weird. Now the first thing of it is they will carry positive charges. That's how much I can help you. Then from there, they're freaky. Iron, for example, they carry multiple charges. Iron will carry a +2 or a +3.
Okay.
Lead, even freakier. Carry a +2 or a +4. Then you got copper that it's just like, hey, yo man, I carry a +1 or a +2, dog.
This is chilling. With tellurium. Ah.
Sometimes I question your well-being, Connor.
I just do. Don't
I
feel bad.
question mine all the time. So don't feel bad, Connor.
I'm-
Now, I will look at you and tell you there are, just so you have a heads up with this, there are 3 D block elements that will only carry 1 charge. This is an AP chemistry, so I'm not going to make it mandatory for you to memorize it.
Are you still going to tell us which one?
Or should I?
No, not mandatory, but optional.
Yeah.
Silver, zinc.
Silver is
Silver's +1, zinc's +2.
AG.
Ah, what's the
Hey, that's
third
gold.
one?
Wait,
I want to say the third one's titanium, but I could be
zinc.
wrong.
You said zinc.
Rhodium.
Yeah.
Okay, and titanium.
I want to say, I'm not 100% sure on titanium. Fact check me on the titanium.
+2.
Matter of fact, just fact check me on the whole thing.
Mr. Hall.
Yes.
I'm not the one to fact check here. Like, sorry about that. Can't do it. Not happening.
Fine, I'll fact check myself.
Alright, that works.
Let's go to the Google.
Go to the Google.
Let's go to the Google guy.
My grandma. Yeah. Go, get on the Google. See what they say.
She gave us the other day. Pictures of our album. How do I do that?
Nothing hurts worse than one head of
Who? So like, that.
You forgot.
I just messed up.
There's a fixed charge.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Like, so, she's pulled.
Was what correct, or we are that Marshall?
We are Marshall.
On here it shows silver is +1, zinc's +2, and they have cadmium as a +2, but I've never heard of that.
What was titanium?
Titanium is not on here, so I guess I was wrong with that one.
Silver,
Are you gonna make
cadmium. Oh, my left eye's twitching. Oh, Jesus.
There you go, if you want. Not mandatory.
What are these again? How much you want to bet that's gonna be?
Those are fixed charges. Those are fixed charges.
Do you offer bonuses on this?
No.
He's gonna put that on the case because he's really debating really.
All right. So, working from these, let's start pulling these together. Before anybody wants to argue with me, yes, there are 7 true diatomics. Those are the ones that we talk about that exist in nature. But in this case, when we say diatomics, we're talking something different.
I feel like you were going to try to add Maddie on that.
Mon
Now, why would you try to add?
deals with 1. Di is 2. So when we're talking about diatomics, we're talking about 2 elements together. Okay? In this case, does that fit under the definition of a diatomic? Yes, 2 elements joined together. Those are that is one of the 7 diatomics that exist in nature bonded to itself. What is the name of this?
Oxygen.
Oxygen. Now this is where things get a little different, and you just have to combine some things together. Now we're going to leave the D-bot dudes alone for a second. We're just going to focus on these cations and anions. You're going to combine them together. Now you got to work backwards for a little bit. Okay? In this, let's start from going from a chemical formula to a name. Then we'll work from a name to a chemical formula. So in this, let's start off just for the fun of it. CaO.
That O is like way far away from
Now this is the thing.
Calcium.
You need to be able to think about this. Okay? In cases, and I'm using this as an example, you need to be able to pull charge and know these charges. Because you're going to be useful for you later on, especially when you're dealing with the D-block dudes. So think about calcium. What's the charge on the calcium?
2 plus.
A 2 plus. What's the charge on the oxygen?
Two. 3.
No.
1.
2.
Number.
Just a plus sign.
Negative.
Oh,
2 negative. Why is it 2 negative?
Because the bond that
Because
oxygen
of the
forms.
diatomic.
No.
Because it's in 16th column. 16th column wants 2 more electrons.
Wow.
So it'll form at 2 negative charge.
Baby steps,
Okay.
Mr. Holman.
I know, I'm just using this. I'm just pulling on a lot of information at once. Let's name this. What you do, name them separate and then pull it together.
Calcium and oxygen.
So calcium,
Did you just say calcium and oxygen?
No, I said calcium and oxygen.
Oh, I was like, no, huh?
all right. So calcium,
Oxide.
oxide. You do not use the prefixes. Well, I know you don't have the prefixes yet, but the prefixes talking about is mon, di, tri, tetra. You're not using those prefixes unless you're dealing with covalent bonds.
Where did you get
we'll call them on the periodic table as calcium. So, what type
It's a cation.
ion do they form? It's cations. What's the charge? Anything from the second column? Positive
That's right, you on there.
2.
Wait.
What?
What would,
Lord.
like, boron be? Would it be 3?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Give you another one. Just so we don't like freak you out on these things. That's not the goal. Okay? I'm going to show you how to get these in a second. So the Li3N. You name it. Take a second, give it a shot. I got faith in you. Ain't got nothing complex yet.
I'm doing prefixes on
Prefixes is strictly for covalent bonds.
Chloe Sigmund, come to the office. Chloe Sigmund, come to the office.
Let me help you with
Destiny
this.
Sparks, come to the office. Destiny Sparks.
Let's do diatomics of ionic bonds. How about that? And that's what we're dealing with right now. Let me help you there. Ionic bonds form from ions. So cations and anions.
Is it lithium nitrate?
Nitrate is a polyatomic lithium nitride.
Is A 2? Like,
No.
nitrate would be 2.
Nitrate,
Yeah.
nitrate is NO3 negative. All right, continue on with these ionic bonds. Let's work backwards now, okay? I'm going to give you a formula, ask you for the name. And we're taking name, you're going to give me the formula. This is where it gets a little bit more complex. So in this, well, so potassium oxide. Here's how you work this. Don't just automatically try to jump to the formula. Write down the ions with their charges. This is in a bond. This is in an ionic bond. It's got something with it in the name. So you know that this right here is potassium, but it's the ion. What charge of ion will potassium form?
Plus one. One plus. One positive.
What column is potassium in?
First.
First column. What is the charge from the first column?
One.
It's positive 1. This is information. Remember, all this is going to link back together. You guys have learned all this foundational information so that we just keep using it. It's a skyscraper. We're building a new level. We're building a new level. We're building a new level.
We're building a skyscraper.
All right, so K+. What about oxide?
O2 negative.
So O2 negative. Now here is the golden rule. That'll get you there, but you have to be able to understand sometimes you're going to factor numbers out. take these numbers that are sitting here and just go across with them. So K, 2 comes down here for the K, 1 comes down here for the oxygen. K2O.
But why does that happen?
This is as to why. What's the charge on potassium? So positive, what's the charge on the oxygen? -2. If we want to equal these charges out, which ionic bonds do, how are you going to do it? You're going to need more potassium. You're going to need 2 potassiums per 1 oxygen.
Oh.
You got C in the
So,
front.
where
C.
does the negative
Do I cancel?
Because it's hidden. What's happening here? What's the charge? Okay? You have 2 potassiums. What's the charge on potassium? Plus 2. What's the charge on the oxygen? There's 1 oxygen, but it's a -2. It's neutral. They're hidden. The charges are there, they're just hidden away.
When the negatives come over to potassium, it's positive because potassium is positive charge.
No, don't look at it that way, because then you're going to start pulling numbers from potassium over to oxygen and throw a negative there.
Then how does that change to a positive just because it's hidden?
You're not changing it to a positive, you're just carrying the number, not the sign.
You're trying to figure out
Just
how
the
to
number.
cancel it out to get it
Oh,
easy.
And it has 6 valence electrons.
No, so you add 2 electrons, so then it gets the
It'll be
negative charge.
You'll add 2 electrons, which are negative charges, which gives you a negative. And, oh, it's pretty good. See if you guys get this one. I can already feel people's frustration building. We got a couple seconds and I gotta jump in.
Hold on.
Snap!
Bring it up.
Alright, calcium, Ca, 2 plus, nitride, N, 3 negative, 3 comes over with the calcium, 2 comes down with the nitrogen. Ca3, N2. We'll work on these more
I'm
tomorrow.
a genius.
I'm a good night.